Hello, Chris here, Green Sabre, episode 5. These videos are coming around all too frequently. And the one that I promised several weeks ago, the return of the bands that have influenced Green Sabre. And from the pile that I've got down here, a fucking shitload of bands that, for reasons unknown, had been entirely forgotten from the first video. Now, one of the reasons behind this, and as any of you avid viewers, subscribers and likers will notice, these are a one-shot deal. I don't have the technology nor the fucking inclination to be editing videos left, right and centre. So they're a one-shot deal. So it's very much a kind of organic train of thought process, which, I mean, last week's video, for example, about the Damnation one, I almost forgot to talk about how great My Dying Bride were, whilst being fucking surrounded by, I think I had a My Dying Bride record in the background, a fucking t-shirt on. They were one of the main reasons why I went, and almost forgot entirely to talk about them. But anyway, yes, episode 5, the bands that we forgot influenced Green Sabre. Now, this is a kind of 50-50 split, really, of bands that I would say directly influence our sound, and others that just influence our stylings and how we play and how we write. So I will start off with one of the biggest omissions from the last time. Don't know if you can see that with the glare. Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales. Now, I've only got the CD here, so let me try and not glare you to death with it. But yeah, I've only got the CD. I don't have any on vinyl because I cannot find any fucking affordable Celtic Frost on vinyl anywhere. A few friends on the YouTubes and the Instagram worlds have recently got that Dance Macabre box set, which I really want, but the accountant denied my my requests. So yeah, that'll have to wait. I do wish that they would reissue standalones of each record, as opposed to most of the records anyway, like Morbid Tales on vinyl. To get a decent, you know, original copy of it will cost you like £100+ fucking pound. So why, when they finally repressed them, they decided to do it in a box set that's another fucking near 200 quid or whatever the fuck it is beyond me. But anyway, I'll get one day. But yeah, I digress. Celtic Frost, guitar style wise, with Tom G Warrior, it's an enormous influence on me, on Gaz, and even on Rossi, to a degree. Just that they were like nothing else. I mean, I don't profess to sort of like, I mean, this came out before I was listening to metal, did Morbid Tales. When is it? Is it 85? 84 even. Yeah, I didn't start listening to metal till 1988. So yeah, this was sort of before my time. So it came via bands that I'd gotten into. And yeah, it just huge, that guitar sound. I mean, like Obituary, love the band Obituary, and their whole guitar sound's a homage to his guitar sound, basically, for me. It's virtually the same. But it's just the huge, immense riffage, especially on Morbid Tales, to Megatherion as well, to a degree. But huge band. Now, the next ones I'm going to mention are mainly in list form, because I don't have a few of them. Candlemass, they're another one that the vinyl's fucking extortionate. I've not managed to dig out any copies of their stuff. I would like Epicus Doomicus, though, of course. Another groundbreaking album, monstrous record. And you could argue, really, the birth of really traditional sort of balls-out doom, if you will, kind of thing. But the epic stuff, of course, with the grandiose vocal style as well. Not everyone's cup of tea, but I loved it. Yeah, but definitely that debut, Epicus Doomicus, immense and a massive influence on our sound. You only have to listen to us to hear bits of that in there. But other albums such as Nightfall and the one after it, that's name escapes me, did I write it down? Ancient Dreams. I think, am I right? I could be wrong here, but Ancient Dreams was like the first Messiah Marklin one, with Mirror Mirror on it and so on. But yeah, some great stuff on there. Gaz wanted to say a shout out as well to Lars Johansson, guitarist. One of Gaz's idols growing up playing guitar. So yeah, why we forgot Candlemass and Celtic Frost off the first one, sort of, it's like we bypassed steps A to B and sort of started at C and went onwards. Now, another big influence is a Gaz that I don't own any on vinyl. And they didn't grab me quite as much as they did Gaz. Solitude Eternus. I know that Liam, Death Doom Metalhead, he's bigged up a lot of Solitude Eternus, and Gaz is an enormous fan as well. I only really know the, I've written it down as well because I can never remember the name of the album, Into the Depths of Sorrow. That's the only album that I really know that I quite liked. But again, I've never actually owned it. I've got the downloads, but yeah, I've never owned any physical copies of them. But a big influence on, yeah, how we started getting into, back when I mentioned on the previous video, our first Doom band together, Desolate. Big influences on what we brought into that sound-wise as such. So, yeah, huge. So far, if we had Celtic Frost, Candlemas, Solitude Eternus. How I forgot them. But anyway. Now, I'm going to go off on a tangent again now, because other bands that you might not necessarily hear in our sound, but that are big influences, Rossi mentioned, Prong. Now, Tommy Victor, we went to, specifically the Cleansing album. I think that's the one with Snap Your Fingers on, isn't it? But there was Beg to Differ as well, which was a bit raw, more that I think that was the debut, wasn't it? But yeah, more the Cleansing, but a big influence, that kind of chunky stop-start riffage that they became synonymous with. And massive influence on Rossi. We saw them in Manchester years back. It was The Obsessed, Life of Agony, and Prong. That was a good night. I thought it was the Academy 3 or 2 or one of them. It wasn't the main one. It was one of the others in Union Building at Manchester there. And yeah, that was a great night. Prong were fantastic that night. I've only ever seen him once since. I went to see Danzig in Manchester 2013 or 2014 or something. So when he first did that, he did like a Misfits set in the middle of it with Doyle, came on and played guitar. That was a great night. But yeah, Tommy Victor was there playing guitar with Danzig's band, of course, doing his pinch harmonics every fucking bar that he does. But anyway, so yeah, Prong, quite a big influence. Another influence, and I'm wearing the t-shirt again, Killing Joke. Again, probably not something you'll hear in our sound, but Geordie Walker, the guitarist, is a big deal to me. I'm a huge fan of his guitar playing. This is a really heavy album, and if you've not heard it, go out and get it. I would say it's Killing Joke's best record, personally. There is, however, a school of thought that it's this one. I love that one as well. I love all Killing Joke stuff. I'll show you just this one other. What's this for? Another great record. Those are the only 3 that I own. Very poor. I need to improve my Killing Joke collection. But yeah, Geordie Walker's guitar style, really unorthodox, strange, weird chords. I was lucky enough to see them live in Leeds earlier this year at the O2 Academy. Yeah, they were really good that night. And I just love Geordie Walker. Almost looks bored on stage, and just hammers out classic riff after classic riff. Brilliant. Again, probably can't hear him in our style, but he's a massive influence on me as a guitar player as such. Yeah. Now, I mentioned the 3 bands beforehand: Celtic Frost, Candlemas, Solitude Eternus. How on earth did we not mention them? The band that I was kicking myself for having forgotten. Sleep. I've no idea how I missed them off because I've written them on the fucking list as well. So to start off with, Sleep, Dope Smoker, and of course, Holy Mountain. 2 absolutely seminal Doom records. More of that stoner vibe, you could say, or whatever it is. But they're without rival, those 2 records. Dope Smoker especially. I want that at my funeral. The full 1 hour and 5 minutes or whatever it is. And if I don't get it, I will haunt you. So bear that in mind. But yeah, Sleep. Just classic riff after riff. And I love, speaking of great guitarists in Geordie Walker, Matt Pike, another enormous influence on me, which leads to his other band. I pulled this one out, Blessed Black Wings, just as an example, but I love everything that they do. And I love the early stuff because it's a bit more of a Sleep vibe, like Surrounded by Thieves and Art Self-Defense and Blessed Black Wings. But I love how they've evolved sound-wise as well. I don't think they've done a bad record, personally. That's one of my favourites. Death is This Communion. Snakes of the Divine, yeah, I mean, the list goes on. But Matt Pike's guitar style is sort of a lot faster than what you're used to with sort of Doom stuff, really. But just brutal riffage. So a big influence. And it goes without saying. I'm rattling through these quite quickly. The next one, Bong Ripper. Don't know if you can see that. My favourite record as well of theirs is this one. Satan Worshipping Doom. Just sludgy, grinding, heavy magnificence. Instrumental as well. No need for vocals. Which I'd be tempted to do myself, quite honestly. But yeah, just on one of our tracks on the Numb EP, Fracture. I'm going for a slight Bong Ripper vibe with it. I don't. Obviously, the guitar tone's totally different, and I don't really capture what I was going for, but that was the thinking process. It's just immense. Like, I think I mentioned on the last video when I was at Damnation listening to Stygian Bow, that kind of almost hypnotic, zoned out, just head nodding. That's what Bong Ripper do best. Great, and a big influence on us. And speaking of bands that I saw at Damnation Festival, Pallbearer brought out one of the other ones this time. But these are a huge influence on us too. Probably more so than a lot of other bands. Again, this is another one that really should have been on that first video, because I would say when people try to get me to explain what we sound like, I think the best way of sort of saying is Yob meets Pallbearer, but done in the style of classic old early 90s British Doom like Cathedral, My Dying Bride, Anathema. I think that's probably the best description of what we do. So yeah, again, the kind of really dramatic, moody melody that Pallbearer used. And like I say, at Damnation, they were heavy as fuck. And they are on the record as well. So if we can be a smidge of how heavy they are, then I'll be happy. But enormous influence on us. Another band, and this is one of my albums of the year here, Conan. A band that just keep getting better and better. Really good live band as well. Saw them at Desert Fest this year, gone in Camden. And I've got to see them in Leeds at Boom at the end of this month, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, again, just chunky, heavy, brutal, no messing. What I love about this album as well, the last track on it, I've forgotten the name of it, Grief Sequence. A bit of a departure from their normal sound, and I really enjoy it. It might be my favourite track on the album. Just, yeah, really sort of melancholic, moody. Yeah, so it's still frighteningly heavy. But, yeah, a band that we look up to hugely because they've really had to work hard to get where they are. And they're just kind of, I see them as a band's band. They're a kind of band that I want to be a Conan. I don't think we can ever be as busy as them. But yeah, they just do it properly. The production's always great on the records. The artwork's always great on the records. They generally got great merch as well. I picked up the Conan Desert Fest special t-shirt. Yeah, which was should have put that on for this video, but I went Killing Joke instead, so there we are. But yeah, great band, big influence. Another big influence, and that's one of them in the background. Bolt Thrower. Again, how I've missed these off the first one. I mean, to be fair, all the first video and all of the ones on this are all valid, and I probably needed to break it into 2 videos because we'd have been there several fucking hours at this rate. But Bolt Thrower, just the heaviness of it, and really, Realm of Chaos, War Master are 2 cases in point of just how it was that sort of bludgeoning elements of Doom, but bludgeoningly fierce death metal, slow, with ever so slight hardcore punk leaning in places, but bit of grind in there. Yeah, they did everything. Bolt Thrower are a band that I've never seen live. I missed them for some reason. Every time it came up, I wasn't there. Gaz has seen him. Probably the rest of the band have probably seen him. But I, alas, missed out. I've seen Memoriam, so that'll have to do. Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed that as well. Look at that, $5.99. Didn't cost me $5.99, I can assure you. Cost me a lot more than that. I did that one, they're both original presses though, so I thought I'd get that in there. But yeah, huge influence. Now another band that you can probably hear more of in our sound. You can see that, Monolord. I've only got 2 of these, so that was the easiest one to see with the band name on it. Saw them in Manchester, oh God, almost a year ago now, with Blackwater Holy Light, a place called Soup or something. Anyway, yeah, really good live. And I love what they do. I want Empress Rising, which they've just repressed, but I'm having to rein in my vinyl purchasing. So that will have to wait, sadly, which is annoying because they're rare are the represses of that. So, but yeah, slightly more of a stoner vibe, but I like, there's one of our new ones that we're working on at the minute. I would say there's a passage in the centre, in the middle of that somewhere, about 10 minutes in, something like that, that it's got a Monolord vibe to it. So, yeah, they're a big influence on how I write, and so on. Now, another one, probably sort of harking back to these sort of doom bands of the early 90s again. Saw them live on the Gods of Grind tour. This is the only one that I've got. I did have the album, Condemned, once upon a time, but alas, gone, and it's a lot of fucking money now. So anyway, I picked this up for 18 quid, as you can probably see, recently. So the EP that they released for the Gods of Grind tour. And yeah, I loved the really obscure timing sequences. The drummer was amazing. They were really good live as well on that Gods of Grind tour. A bit more, I mean, I think there's a couple of Trouble, Last Judgment and End Time, couple of Trouble covers on that. And yeah, it's more that Trouble vibe of sort of doom, but with really obscure timing sequences. But really, really good. Riff-wise, and that sort of tone that they had on that album is what sort of influenced me. I tried to capture. But yeah, big influence. And worth a mention. Now, another one disappeared last week as well. Godflesh. I love pretty much everything that Justin Broderick's done. I love the Jesu side project stuff as well, with that sort of shoegazer vibe. But this, obviously, there's nothing remotely industrial about what we do. But it's the heaviness of it, just that, and it's the simplicity. And it's all well and good sitting there and sort of saying, yeah, it's too simple, it's too boring. It's our work being effective and simple. You can noodle away all you want and various things, but to be so effectively heavy, like this is, and convincing, and great live as well. And it just, again, not something you'll immediately hear in the sound, but that heaviness and that just sort of pounding relentlessness of it, it's something that I want to capture in various places. There's a lot of melody in what we do, but when we're heavy, I want us to be heavy. I don't want us to fuck around with it as such, like sort of when there's a heavy sequence in a song, it needs to do what it says on the tin. And Godflesh is always in my sort of thinking with stuff like that, really. And just those sort of slightly dissonant ring out chords and stuff that he uses in the background of stuff. I'm trying to think, a good example is it the track Slave State? There's like the chorus or the bridge section of that or whatever it is, and like ringing out chords in the background of it that really, yeah. The last one that I'm going to mention, and again, not something you'll hear in our music, Danzig. The first 4 albums and the Thrall Demon Sweat or whatever the fuck it is, live EP, the first 4 albums are among some of the finest records in metal rock history for me. That first incarnation of Danzig was absolutely untouchable. The classic lineup, Glenn Danzig, Eerie Von, Chuck Biscuits, and John Christ, was just sensational. Again, I had the opportunity. My Bride, the drummer in the band, his brother, Dave Pugh, and guitarist in our other side project, Mirricane, while touring, I forget which Skyclad album they're touring, it might have been Burnt Offering, but anyway, while touring with Skyclad, they supported Danzig on the How the Gods Kill tour. I found out after the event, I'd not managed to get a ticket for, they played the Queen's Hall in Bradford, I hadn't got a ticket. I found out after the event I could have had a fucking lift to it and got in. And that will forever be a regret that I never saw the classic Danzig lineup. My good friend John McMeekin, Rock and Metal Plus, has his own story, which I'm sure he'll tell at some point, about how he had the chance to see the original classic Danzig lineup and missed out. It's almost as heartbreaking as mine is. But yeah, I'd never saw him in the classic lineup. I did see them, as mentioned earlier, in Manchester in 2013. And they were really good. And it was just at that point, for me, I think Glenn's voice is fucking shot at now and he needs to knock it on the head, personally. In 2013, when I saw him, it was just on the cusp of going, but he was really good that night. And they played a right nice mix of stuff. But this debut, immense. My favourite record, I think if I had to pick one, would be Danzig 2, Lucifuge, which I've got down there somewhere. I've got Danzig 3 down there, but it's a boot. It's not the original. It's a green vinyl boot of it. It's a decent enough copy. It's just quiet. And one that I don't think I'll ever get on vinyl unless they repress it, Danzig 4, and the last good album that he did for me personally. He's had the odd song here and there that's been decent after that, but Danzig 4 was the last consistently decent record that they did. But I digress. As far as influences go, John Christ, big influence, sort of guitar-wise. Just the guitar tone as well that he had. Again, not something that we'll use particularly, but a large part of me thinking guitar-wise and melody-wise. So yeah, big influence. And I think that is it. If there's anyone else I forgot now, they're clearly not a big enough influence to have been mentioned, because I think I've covered everyone there. Yeah, as you can see, we're influenced by a lot of stuff. I think what I said earlier, though, if you're looking for bands to kind of confirm what our style is and what we sound like, I would say Yob meets Paul Bearer, done in the style of classic early 90s British doom, like Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, Anathema, Cathedral, but with a hint of Type O Negative thrown in, just to add that little bit of gothic sensibility. Yeah, done. So we can move on now. Those are the bands that have influenced how we sound. The next video, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be about yet, so stay tuned. Anyway, that'll be out in a week and a bit, and we'll be coming up to that gig in Lancaster, and hopefully have this other gig in Lancaster that's provisionally scheduled for early January. Hopefully we'll have that confirmed. It's all but done. We've just got a few details to iron out for that one. And yeah, that should be good to go. So as soon as I can announce that, I will. But those are the two gigs that we've got in the pipeline anyway. So until then, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all the usual bollocks. And I'll see you next time. See you later.